Hello, I'm Earl Purdy. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. And I'm so glad to talk to all of you Course in Miracles students. Here we go now.
There's a call for God, I see it everywhere. Everybody's running scared, and everything is turning upside down.
Welcome to Hardcore Course.
But the words I hear, they keep coming through from deep inside of me and you. It's telling us that love is who I am.
And that's who you are. You are love.
You and me are not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
Mighty companion, we are one.
Yeah, we are one.
Welcome to Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy.
Now let's come together and understand that Christ was born inside of every man. He's waiting for us to choose him as ourselves. When you choose him, you know you choose me too. And everyone becomes a part of you. And then you will know that love is who I am.
And who you are.
You and me, we're not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
We are one.
Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one.
Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. This is Earl Raj Purdy here on Facebook Live. And that ain't no jive. We go down deep in the course. Hardcore course is for those who are into the Course in Miracles and really want support in studying A Course in Miracles. I've been teaching and learning the Course in Miracles almost 40 years now, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh yeah. And so I want you to know that we are going to go through Waking to Redemption on page 207.
You and me were not that far apart. Yeah, we're beating the same heart. We've been together from the start. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it and know that we are one.
So glad you're here.
Oh, we are one.
I can feel you already.
Yeah, yeah, we are one.
We're going to go deep tonight. We're going to go deep tonight.
We are one.
We're going to go deep right now. We're going to go deep right now.
And you and you are me.
Woo, that's Brother John Christmas at www.johnchristmas.com. Now, John You can download all of John Christmas music from the course at johnchristmas.com. That's my brother. Love him deeply. I want to welcome you, mighty companions, to Hardcore Course in Miracles. And we're going to go deep. And we're going to be on page 207 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. Page 207 in chapter 11, page 207, section 6. So we're going to be covering Waking to Redemption. Waking to Redemption. And redemption is true love. Waking to Redemption, chapter 11, God or the Ego, page 207. 207. So good to have you all online live. I'm going to get you up so I can watch you myself, so I can respond to the comments. As you know, I'm a messenger. That's how I see myself. So the Course in Miracles says that in order to grasp the Course in Miracles, it's important not to analyze it. The Course in Miracles says analyzation is of the ego. It's of the fear-based mind. That you don't get the Course through analyzing it and trying to figure it out. But what creates the miracle is when you get to the point you can hear the instruction that's being given. So I see myself as a messenger, a divine messenger. And I love that we're doing this live because I feel like you are my tribe and we are part of the same tribe. And when we're here at the same time and you can make comments and communicate to each other and also to me because I can see the comments, we feel the energy. And so we're going to start off on page 207. At first I read through the paragraph and then come back and we cover it line by line to see what was the message that it was trying to give us. We are the Vibe Tribe. You got that right down over you. We are the Vibe Tribe. Okay, now remember, you don't have to, the Course says in order to get it, you must remember that you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept the ideas, you need not welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. It says some of the ideas you're going to find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you're going to find hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be really startling. The Course says you're not asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. That it's the use of the ideas. It's using the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Okay. So I'm going to go straight through the first paragraph and then we're going to come back and do it. Here we go. It is impossible not to believe what you see, but it is equally impossible to see what you do not believe. Perceptions are built up on the basis of experience. And experience leads to beliefs. It is not until beliefs are fixed that perceptions stabilize. In effect, then, what you believe, you do see. In effect, then, what you believe, you do see. That is what I meant when I said, blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe. For those who believe in the resurrection will see it. The resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego. Not by attack, but by transcendence. Not by attack, but by transcendence. For Christ does rise above the ego and all its works, and ascends to the Father and his kingdom, and ascends to the Father and his kingdom. All right, so let's go back through that paragraph. First, I like to just have a chance to just hear it, and I love to feel it. And the first line of Awaken to Redemption, it says, it's impossible. It's impossible not to believe what you see. So whatever you see is what you believe. If you ever want to know what you really believe, according to the Course, what you see is what you believe. It says it's impossible not to believe what you see. It's impossible not to believe what you're looking at. So it's equally impossible to see something that you don't believe. If you don't believe in love, if you don't believe in the Holy Spirit, if you don't believe in the Course, if you don't believe in the truth, then the Course says it's equally impossible to see what you do not believe. It's impossible to see what you don't believe. It's impossible to see what you do not believe. If you do not believe it, you're not going to see it. If you do not believe it, you're not going to see it. And it's equally impossible not to believe what you see. So whatever you see, that's what you believe. You don't have to wonder what you believe. It's what you see. What you see is what you believe. I believe in a physical world. I believe in separation. I believe in material things. I believe in form. Why do I know that that's absolutely what I believe? Because I see it. If you see it, you believe it according to the Course. It's impossible not to believe what you see. Do you see anger? Do you see attack? Do you see sickness? Do you see depression? Do you see separation? That can only be because there's a part of you that believes in it. Do you see love? Do you see joy? Do you see peace? Do you see oneness? Then that's what you believe. Whatever you see is what you believe. And whatever you don't believe, you will not see. So perceptions are built up on the basis of experience. Your experiences build up your perceptions. Every time you have an experience, it builds up that perception. When you have the experience of love, you perceive more love. When you have the experience of hate, you perceive more perceptions of hate. Whatever your experience is, your experience leads to beliefs, and your beliefs become your perceptions. Your beliefs become your perceptions, but your perceptions are built from your experiences. Okay, now what's the next point that this paragraph is trying to make? It says, it is not until beliefs are fixed. It is not until beliefs are fixed that perception stabilizes. The way that you see things does not stabilize until your beliefs stabilize. When I have a consistent belief in the truth, when I have a consistent belief in love, when I have a consistent belief in peace, I will consistently see love. I will consistently have peace. So the Course says your way of seeing things does not become stabilized until your beliefs are fixed. So the things that you see all the time are the things you have the most fixed beliefs about. Whatever you tend to see happen in your life all the time, whatever it is you tend to see is a result, and you see that a lot, then that's a fixed perception. And what did the Course in Miracles say? It's not until beliefs are fixed that perception stabilize. When your beliefs are fixed, your perception stabilize. So your way of seeing things becomes more consistent when you have fixed beliefs about them. So in effect then, what you believe you do see. The Course in Miracles reads circular, not in a linear way. So you could say it this way. In effect then, what you believe you do see. In effect then, what you believe, you do see what you believe. You do see what you believe. You do see what you believe. You are looking at what you believe. You do see what you believe. You're looking at what you believe. That is what I meant when I said Blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe. For those who believe in the resurrection will see it. The resurrection is the overcoming of fear by love. If you really believe that love is going to win in the end, that because the Course in Miracles, like I've said in many classes and after teaching it almost 40 years, the Course in Miracles is only talking about love, and the Course in Miracles is only talking about love and fear, getting rid of and letting go of fear and only knowing love in your life. It is not complicated. It's only as complicated as you need it to be. So the Course is saying to you, every time you are wondering, when you're studying A Course in Miracles, and every time you're wondering what it's talking about, keep reading. Keep reading forward. Don't stop and try to go over it over and over again until you think you understand it. Keep reading. It's going to restate what it just said in another way, and you may get it the other way. But this right here is said basically the same thing over and over again. What? It's impossible not to believe what you see. It's impossible to see something that you don't believe. Your experiences build up your perceptions. When your perceptions are fixed, and then that's when your perceptions stabilize. Things in your life will stabilize when you have a stabilized belief system. When your belief system is stabilized, then you're going to see things in a very stabilized way. Then Jesus of the Course says, this is what I meant when I said, blessed are ye who haven't seen and still believe. Those who believe and are not seeing it yet. In other words, if you are moving in the direction of believing in love, even though you think you don't see it, then you are believing in it also, and you will see it. So what you believe is what you see, but at the same time, blessed are you who haven't seen, but you still believe. Even though I haven't seen the unconditional love in every direction that the Course in Miracles keeps talking about, there's a part of me that still believes in it. So the Course in Miracles says, for those who believe in the resurrection will see it. For those who believe in the love will see it, because it's only talking about love and fear. Resurrection is just love. So those who believe in the resurrection will see it. Those who believe in the triumph of Christ over the ego, Christ is your true self. The Course says the Christ is the one self we all share. The Christ is the one self. So another term for Christ is the one self we all share, the one child of God. And the Course says Christ is going to completely triumph over the ego, which is the belief in separation, the belief in fear. The ego is quite literally a fearful thought. So basically the Course says, when it talks about resurrection, it's talking about the complete victory over your real self, over your false self. Your real self of love is going to win out over the false self of fear and anger and upset. Your real self is going to win. Your loving self is going to win. Your real self is going to win out. The love in you is going to win. The love is going to win. No matter what it looks like that's happening in the world right now, no matter what it looks like that's happening within your life right now, no matter what it's looking like is happening inside of you right now, the real self in you, the love in you, the truth in you is going to win. The truth in you is going to win. The truth in you is going to win. Your real self is going to triumph over the ego, which is the false self. And the Course in Miracles says it's not going to be by attack. Attack doesn't get anything done. It's going to be by transcendence, going beyond the belief in separation, going beyond the belief that we are separate or guilty or afraid. The real self is going to win over the false self by transcendence. For the Christ, which is your real self, your loving self, your true self, does rise above the ego. Your true self does rise above the false self, and it rises above all its works, and it rises above all of its actions, and your real self is going to ascend to the Creator. Your real self is going to ascend to the kingdom of love. So we were given a very clear message in that paragraph. Do you know that it's impossible not to believe what you see? Do you know it's equally impossible to see what you don't believe? Do you realize that perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and experience leads to belief? Do you realize that it's not until your beliefs are fixed that your perceptions stabilize? Do you know that that's what Jesus meant when he said, blessed are ye who haven't seen and still believe? Because those who believe that their real self is going to triumph over their false self, those who believe that their true self is going to triumph over the ego, those who believe that freedom is going to triumph over bondage, then that is the resurrection. And that's going to happen not through being angry all the time, not through attacking all the time, but by going beyond the old way of looking at things, allowing the truth in you to be stronger in you than the lie or the false in you. Because you're going to rise above your ego, you're going to go beyond all of your ego's works, and you're going to ascend to your creator and your creator's reality. That is what the first paragraph is saying. That's the message. Some of the comments are, Christ is the one self we all share. Dana said that. Demola says, we are holy creations of love, and we'll triumph over all forms of fear and thoughts of separation. Another one is, love always prevails over fear. Another comment is, love overcomes fear every time. Another comment is, transcendence will set us free. Another comment is, experience leads to belief. Another one is complimenting the fact that I do repetition. I'm telling you, it's through hearing the course and repeating it over and over and over again that you're going to have the miracles. God triumphs over fear. Kathy says salvation triumphs. Alita says, I believe in love, and so I will see it everywhere once that belief is fixed. And Diana says, I'm in it for the long haul. You know something, Diana? I'm in it for the long haul too. There's nothing else to do. I mean, the level of peace in my life compared to the level of peace that I did not have before I got in the Course in Miracles, there's not any comparison. And I'm so glad I'm finally beginning to get that it's the simplicity of A Course in Miracles and repeating the Course in Miracles and remembering what it says that produces the miracles, and not the analyzation and the trying to figure it out, or even trying to put the Course in Miracles into my belief system. The next paragraph says, we are chapter 11, section 5, paragraph 2. So the next paragraph, I'm going to go through the next paragraph, and I'm having a good time going through this with you. Here we go. Would you join in the resurrection of the crucifixion? Would you join in the resurrection of the crucifixion? Would you join in the resurrection of the crucifixion? Would you join in the resurrection of the crucifixion? Would you condemn your brothers or free your brothers? Would you condemn your brothers or free them? Would you condemn your brothers? Would you condemn your brothers or free them? Would you transcend your prison and ascend to the Father? Would you transcend your prison? Would you transcend your prison? Would you transcend your prison and ascend to the Father? These questions are all the same. These questions are all the same and are answered together and are answered together. These questions are all the same and are answered together. There has been much confusion about what perception means. There has been much confusion about what perception means, because the word is used both for awareness and for the interpretation of awareness. The word perception is used both for awareness and for the interpretation of awareness. Yet, you cannot be aware without interpretation. You cannot be aware without interpretation. You cannot be aware without interpretation. You cannot be aware. You cannot be aware without interpretation. For what you perceive is your interpretation. What you perceive is your interpretation. What you see is your interpretation. What you see is your interpretation. What you see is your interpretation. So would you join the resurrection or the crucifixion? Would you join the resurrection or the crucifixion? And then what did we just hear in the first paragraph? We heard that the resurrection was the complete triumph of Christ over the ego. That the resurrection is the complete triumph of truth over what's not true. I'm giving you the Course in Miracles definitions of these terms. So we're being asked right now, would you join in the resurrection or would you join in the crucifixion? Would you join in the love or would you join in the fear? Would you condemn your brothers or free them? And the Course in Miracles says a brother is a mind that is joined with yours. That's a brother. A brother is nothing. It's not talking about his gender. It's talking about a mind that is joined with yours. That's what the Course is talking about when it says brother. So it's asking you, would you condemn me or would you free me? Would you condemn someone or would you free them? Do you want to transcend your prison? Do you want to get out of all limitation? Would you transcend your prison and ascend to the Father? And what does that mean? Would you transcend your fear and ascend to love? Will you transcend your guilt and ascend to your innocence, which is your creator, which is love? It says these questions are all the same and these questions are all answered together. So what questions are the same? Would you join in the resurrection or the crucifixion? It's the same as asking you, would you condemn your brothers or free them, which is the same as asking you, would you transcend your prison and ascend to the Father? So you ask these questions together. These questions are all the same, and you answer all these questions together. Now, it says that there's been a lot of confusion about what perception means. So there's a lot of confusion about what perception means because the word perception is used for both awareness and for the interpretation of awareness. So you can't be aware without interpretation. So what does that mean? It just means that perception is interpretation. Everything you see is your interpretation. Everything you see is your interpretation. How you see everything is your interpretation. Your perception of anything is your interpretation. So you are not. So that goes back to lesson 2 in the Course in Miracles workbook, which is I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. That is what that's basically saying. That perception is interpretation. What you only seeing the meanings that you're giving things. You are reacting to the meanings that you are giving everything. You are reacting to your interpretations. You are seeing your interpretations. All day long, you're seeing your interpretations. All day long, you're seeing your interpretations. 24 hours a day, you are experiencing your own interpretations. All the time, you are experiencing your own interpretations. Everything you see is your own interpretation. You give everything you see all the meaning that it has for you. You give everything you see all the meaning that it has for you. You give everything that you see all the meaning that it has for you. You give every person that you see all the meaning that they have to you. You give every person that you know all the meaning they have for you. You give every person in your life all the meaning that they have for you and to you. Perception is interpretation. You're always seeing your interpretations. You're never seeing anything directly. You're never seeing anything directly according to A Course in Miracles. It says you don't see anything directly. What you see is your interpretation of it. You are not seeing me. You're seeing your interpretation of me. You're seeing your interpretation of me. You're seeing your perception of me. You're not really seeing me. You're just seeing your interpretation of me. You're just seeing the meaning that you have given me. I only have as much meaning to you as you give me. Perception, what you perceive, is your interpretation. Comments. Everything I see is my interpretation. Chris says, perception is your interpretation of the truth. Demola says, I am interpreting a woke chocolate brother spitting us some juicy truth. I love your interpretation, brother. Jim says, go, Sister Diana. Yourself deserves all that and so much more, for God's will is perfect. I give everyone, Jim says, I give everyone and everything all the meaning and my interpretation of it to me. So hear that. This is very important. Let's hear this now. Okay, what were we told so far? Basically, we were told over and over and over and over again that you're seeing what you believe. You're seeing what you believe. The only thing you see is what you believe. Everything you see is what you believe. If you didn't believe in it, you wouldn't see it. Your financial situation is how you see it. Your relationship situation is how you see it. Your health situation is how you see it. Your life is how you see it. Your friends are how you see them. What's happening in your job is how you see it. Everything is an interpretation. Everything that you are seeing is an interpretation, and the resurrection is going to be the triumph of the loving you over the fearful you. And do you want to free everybody else, or do you want to imprison everybody else? Do you want to free everybody else, or do you want to imprison everybody else? Because if you want to free everybody else, the Course is saying you're joining in the resurrection. If you want to limit anybody, then you are doing a form of imprisonment, and that is the crucifixion. That is the message. Don't forget that in Hardcore Course in Miracles, our emphasis is on what in the heck is a Course in Miracles saying? What is it saying? I need to hear what it's saying. The only thing you see is what, that's right, Irene. The only thing you see is what you believe. And take a minute to think of the ramifications of that. Whenever I'm getting upset about anything, I try to tell myself, you know what, Purdy? You are just reacting to the meaning that you're giving it. And you're also telling yourself, and this is what I tell myself, and Purdy, you're also telling yourself, if this were different, you'd be happy. If this were different, you'd be happy. If you're upset, Earl, you're just telling yourself, if this were different, then I would be happy. So I'm demanding that everything around me be different in order for me to be happy. That is a perception. That is an interpretation. It's an interpretation for me to believe that you need to be different in order for me to be happy. That's my interpretation. My perception is my interpretation. Now, this next paragraph, paragraph 3, is a very powerful paragraph. So let's hear it. Let's hear what it says. Take a breath now. Yes. Here we go. Let me share this. Let me share this. This course is perfectly clear. This course is perfectly clear. This course is perfectly clear. If you do not see it clearly, if you do not see the course clearly, if you do not see the course clearly, it is because you are interpreting against the course. If you don't see it clearly. If you don't see it clearly, I say, if you don't see the course clearly, it's because you are interpreting against it, and therefore do not believe it. So, if you do not see the course clearly, you are interpreting against the course. You do not believe the course if you are interpreting against the course. And if you are interpreting against the course, you do not see it clearly. But this course is perfectly clear. This course is perfectly clear. And since belief determines perception, and since belief determines perception, and since belief determines perception, you do not perceive what it means, and therefore do not accept it. Since belief determines perception, you do not perceive what it means, and therefore do not accept it. Yet different experiences lead to different beliefs. What? I say different experiences lead to different beliefs. And with different beliefs, you have different perceptions. For perceptions are learned with beliefs. Perceptions are learned with beliefs. And experience does teach. And experience does teach. 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 What else it says? I am leading you. Say what? I am leading you. What? I am leading you to a new kind of experience. So what did Jesus of the Course say? I am leading you to a new kind of experience that you will become less and less willing to deny. I am leading you to a new kind of experience that you will become less and less willing to deny. I am leading you to a new kind of experience that you will become less and less and less willing to deny. Learning of Christ is easy. Learning of your true self is easy. Learning of love is easy. For to perceive with Christ involves no strain at all. To perceive with love involves no strain at all. Learning of Christ is easy. Learning of Christ is easy. Learning of your real self is easy. Learning of your real self is easy. Learning of your real self is easy. For to perceive with Him, to perceive with love, to perceive with Christ, to perceive with the truth involves no strain at all. To perceive with your real self involves no strain at all. Christ's perceptions are your natural awareness. Love's perceptions are your natural awareness. And it is only the distortions that you introduce that tire you. It is only the distortions you introduce that tire you. It is only the distortions you introduce that tires you. Say what? It is only the distortions you introduce that tire you. Let the Christ in you interpret for you. Let the Christ in you interpret for you. Let the Christ in you interpret for you. Let the love in you interpret for you. Let the love in you interpret for you. And do not try to limit what you see. Do not try to limit what you see. Do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs. By narrow little beliefs. By narrow little beliefs. By narrow little beliefs. Do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs. Don't try to limit. Don't try to limit what you see. 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 Don't try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs. Do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs. Narrow little beliefs. Narrow little beliefs that are unworthy of God's Son. Do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs that are unworthy of God's child. For until Christ comes unto His own, for until love comes unto its own, until love comes into its own, until Christ comes into His own, until Christ comes into His own, until love comes unto its own, the child of God, the Son of God, will see himself as fatherless. I'll say it one more time. Until Christ comes into its own, till love comes into its own, you, the child of God, will see yourself as without a creator. That paragraph was off the chain. That paragraph was off the chain. So it says this course is perfectly clear. This course is perfectly clear. This course, A Course in Miracles is perfectly clear. I don't know how to break it to you, but A Course in Miracles is not confusing. A Course in Miracles is perfectly clear. So why is it that you don't see the Course in Miracles clearly? Why is it that a person doesn't see the Course in Miracles clearly? He says because that person is interpreting against it. That a person that doesn't see what the Course in Miracles is saying is interpreting against it. And the Course in Miracles says to interpret against it is to not believe it. So the Course is perfectly clear. A person doesn't see it clearly because they don't believe it. If you don't believe it, you interpret against it, and then you don't see it clearly, even though it's perfectly clear. So the Course says the Course is perfectly clear. If a person doesn't see it clearly, it's because they are interpreting against it and therefore do not believe it. If you don't believe it, you won't see it clearly. If you don't believe the Course, you won't see what the Course is saying clearly. If you don't believe the Course, you're not going to see what it's saying clearly. If you interpret against the Course, you're not going to see what it's clearly saying. If you don't see the Course clearly, it's because you don't believe it. If you don't see the Course clearly, it's because there's a part of you that's interpreting against it. I'm just saying what's on the page. I'm just saying what's on the page. And since belief determines perception, your beliefs determine what you see. Your beliefs determine what you see. Then because you don't believe it and your beliefs determine what you see, you don't see what it means. So the Course in Miracles just explains why a person doesn't see what it means and doesn't accept it. It says that a person that doesn't accept the Course in Miracles is a person who doesn't see what it means. And beliefs determine perception. It says that person does not believe the Course because that person is interpreting against the Course. If they're interpreting against the Course, then they do not see the Course clearly. And if you don't see the Course clearly, it's because you're interpreting against the Course, because you don't believe the Course. Your beliefs determine your perception of the Course. You don't see what the Course means, and so you don't accept what the Course means. And that's why the Course is not perfectly clear to a person. The Course in Miracles says that it's a perfectly clear Course. If a person doesn't see the Course in Miracles clearly, it's because they're interpreting against the Course in Miracles, which means they don't believe a Course in Miracles. And since what you believe determines what you see, it says you don't see what the Course in Miracles means, and therefore you don't accept the Course in Miracles because you don't see what it means. And that's why a person does not believe in the Course in Miracles. In that first little part of that paragraph, the Course in Miracles explains exactly why a person doesn't believe in the Course in Miracles. Then it goes on to say, yet different experiences lead to different beliefs. So if you're going to have a new belief, you need to give yourself new experiences. If you want to have new beliefs, you need to start doing what? Giving yourself new experiences. Give yourself new experiences. Give yourself new experiences. Give yourself new experiences. Give yourself different experiences. It's time for you to give yourself different experiences. If you want to have different beliefs, you've got to give yourself experiences of joy, and experiences of innocence, and experiences of freedom, and experiences of abundance, and experiences of health, and experiences of oneness. You have to give yourself different experiences. Different experiences will lead you to a different belief. A new experience will lead you to a new belief. New experiences, new and different experiences. Then in paragraph 3, it goes on to say, and when you have different beliefs, then you start having different perceptions. So if I want to have a perception of joy and peace and love and fun, then I need to start allowing myself to have experiences of joy and peace and fun. Experiences lead to new beliefs. Different experiences lead to different beliefs. Different beliefs give you different perceptions. We are being told in this section, Waking to Redemption, Waking to Love, we are being told exactly what to do to change over from any form of fear to nothing but fun and joy. We're hearing it. We're hearing it right now. It also says perceptions are learned with beliefs, and experiences does teach. So it's saying it again. When you have every experience that you are having is teaching you something. Every one of your experiences are teaching you something. Every one of your experiences are teaching you something. Every one of your relationships are teaching you something. Experience does teach. Experience does teach. Then Jesus of the Course in Miracles says, I am leading you. So Jesus is telling us, I'm leading you. Love is leading you. Now, where is love leading you? The Course is leading you. Jesus is leading you. Love is leading you to a new kind of experience. The Course in Miracles wants to lead you to a new kind of experience. And it's going to be a kind of experience that you're going to become less and less willing to deny. I'm becoming less and less willing to deny that I am experiencing more peace than I've ever experienced in my life. I'm becoming more and more willing to not deny that I'm experiencing more peace and more support and more connection and more kindness than I have ever experienced in my life. Jesus has led me to a new kind of experience by doing the Course in Miracles, which comes from Jesus. The Course in Miracles has led me to a new kind of experience that I'm becoming less and less willing to deny. So the Course is telling you, this is where I'm trying to lead you. Where am I trying to lead you? I'm trying to lead you to a new kind of experience that you're going to become less and less willing to deny. I want to lead you to a new kind of experience. That's my purpose as a teacher, is to lead you to a new kind of experience that you're going to become less and less willing to deny. Then, do you know the next sentence says something that's even more mind-boggling? Do you know what it is? It says, learning of Christ is easy. And don't forget, the Christ is your true self. The Course in Miracles describes Christ as the one self we all share, the child of God. So your real self, your loving self. So what is Course telling us? Well, learning of Christ is easy. It's the same as saying learning of love is easy. When you're learning of love, it's easy. Love is 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 easy. Learning of love is easy. Perceptions of love are easy. Love is easy. Love is easy. Learning of love is easy. Learning of Christ is easy. Learning of Christ is easy. It's easy to learn of Christ. It's easy to learn of love. It's easy to learn when you're learning from love. It's easy to learn when you're learning in a loving way. It's easy. It's easy. Love is easy. Why is it? Why is learning of Christ easy? Why is learning of love easy? It says, for to proceed with Christ, for to proceed with your true self, for to proceed with love involves no strain at all. So whenever you are doing something from your true self, whenever you're doing something from your loving self, whenever you're doing something from your real self, it's easy. That means it has no strain at all. When you're doing something from your true self, when you're being your authentic self, when you're being your authentic self, when you're being your real self, when you're learning of your real self, it's easy and it doesn't involve any kind of strain. It's only a strain when you're not learning of Christ, when you're not learning of your loving self. That's when things are hard. That's when things are struggle. That's when things are a strain. So learning of Christ is easy, for to proceed with Christ, to proceed with love, involves no strain at all. I love how the Course in Miracles teaches me the difference between love and what's not love over and over again. Earl, if you're learning from your real self, if you're really being true to yourself, then life is easy and there's no strain at all. Learning of your true self is easy and there's no strain at all. Earl, are you having an experience of love? Okay. Or if you're having an experience of fear, then you need a different experience, because a different experience will give you a different belief, and a different belief will give you a different perception. So you need to give yourself experiences of peace, experiences of love, experiences of joy, because experience is what teaches you. Experience teaches you. Then it said, you know what? I'm leading you, and I'm leading you to a new kind of experience that you're going to become less and less willing to deny. I'm leading you to a new kind of experience that you're going to become less and less willing to deny. And learning of your true self is easy, and learning of your true self involves no strain at all. And the perceptions of your new self are your natural awareness. So the perception of love is your natural awareness. When you're seeing naturally is when you're seeing with love. And what is it that makes us tired? It says it is only the distortions you introduce that tire you. So what is it that makes a person tired? The distortions that they introduce. What makes a person tired, what's making a person tired is nothing but all of the distortions and the fears and the upsets that they introduce. Because don't forget, you're seeing what you believe, and you're the one that's giving everything all the meaning that it has for you, and you're the one that's giving everything the interpretation that it has for you and the meaning that it has for you. And so if you're giving things a meaning that's coming from your true self, then you're going to experience ease and you're going to experience no strain. If you're feeling tired all the time, you're introducing wrong perceptions. You are introducing distortions. You're telling yourself something that is not true if you're tired all the time. Then the Course in Miracles says, let the Christ in you interpret for you. Let your real self of love interpret for you. Let your true self interpret for you. Christ is your true self, your God self, your divine self. So let the Christ in you, let the divine in you, let the love in you do what? Interpret for you. I put it this way. This is the way I do it. I let the interpretations of the Course, I let the Course interpret for me. See, in studying the Course in Miracles and learning the thought system of the Course in Miracles, now I use the interpretations of the Course in Miracles to look at my experience. And when I look at my experience through the interpretations of the Course in Miracles, I have miracles and I have peace. And when I have peace, I can hear the voice for God, and I can hear my inner guide, and I can hear my inner guidance, and my inner guidance tells me exactly what to do about every situation and circumstance that comes up in my life, because the Course teaches me that I only have one problem, and all my problems are the same, even if it look like my problems are different. And that one problem is, I think I'm separate from God. I think I'm separate from God. I think I'm separate from love. I think I'm separate from God. I think I'm separate from love. I think I'm separate from God. I think I'm separate from love. And that is the one problem. That is the only problem. As we think we're separate from love. So the Course in Miracles says, when you're coming from your true self, learning of your true self is easy. It doesn't involve no strain at all. It's your natural way of looking at things, and it's only the distortions you introduce that's making you tired. So let the love in you interpret for you. And then I love this part of the sentence when it says, let the Christ in you interpret for you, and do not try to limit what you see. Do not try to limit what you see. Do not try to limit who you see. Do not try to limit who you see. Do not try to limit what you see. So how do you limit what you see? How do you limit what you see? It says in the very next part of the sentence, by narrow little beliefs. So if you have a lot of narrow little, when you have narrow, not only is it, I love the Course in Miracles, not only is it a little belief, the Course in Miracles says it's a narrow little belief. That your narrow little beliefs are limiting what you see. What you're looking at, don't let what you see be limited by your narrow, limited beliefs. Because narrow, limited beliefs, fearful beliefs, are unworthy of you. So don't let yourself be limited by ego thoughts, because ego thoughts are not worthy of you. Fearful thoughts are not worthy of you. Anger thoughts, separation thoughts are not worthy of you. So let the love in you interpret for you, which is the same as saying, let the Christ in you perceive for you. And don't try to limit what you see. Don't try to limit what you see. Stop trying to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs that are unworthy of you. Frightening, fearful beliefs are unworthy of you. Thinking that you don't deserve love is unworthy of you. For until Christ comes into his own, until your real self comes unto its own, that's the translation, until love comes unto its own, you will see yourself as without the creator of love. So until you come to yourself, and realize who you are, the Course is saying you will see yourself as if you don't have a creator, until you see yourself as the loving being that you are. That was a kick-butt paragraph. Let's see what some of the comments are. Yes, my interpretation. Yes, thank God for Holy Spirit, our divine teacher. Do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs. Communication with all that is becomes clearer as we are willing to use the higher self-interpretation. Another comment, don't try to limit what and who you see by narrow little beliefs. Narrow little beliefs. Narrow, skinny, little, limiting beliefs. That's right, Carla. Limiting little beliefs. The Course says narrow, fearful beliefs. Another comment is narrow, fearful beliefs limit what I see. Narrow, fearful beliefs limit what I see. Alita says, until I realize who I really am, I will see myself as without a creator. Until I see myself as I really am, because when you see in yourself as you're not, you see yourself as anonymous on your own. Whenever you see yourself as on your own, if you think of yourself as on your own, autonomous and self-sufficient, that's a narrow little belief. According to the Course in Miracles, the smallest The most narrow belief you can have is the belief that you're separate, the belief that you're separate from God, the belief that you're separate from others, the belief that you're separate from anything. So that's that. And I really want to remember out of that paragraph that he kept saying, learning of Christ is easy. Learning of my real self is easy, but to proceed with my real self involves no strain at all. So if you substitute the word love, you will see this even better. So learning of love is easy, for to proceed with love involves no strain at all. Love's perceptions are your natural awareness, and it's only the distortions you introduce that tire you. Let the love in you interpret for you, and do not try to limit what you see by narrow little beliefs that are unworthy of love's creation. That's you. For until love comes unto its own, the child of love will see itself as without a creator. That, I could hear that message over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Narrow little limiting, stinking, thinking beliefs. Okay, so let's look at paragraph 4. Let's hear paragraph 4. We're doing good. We're doing good. Let's do paragraph 4. Here we go. I am your resurrection. I am your life. I say, I am your resurrection and your life. You live in me, and I'll say it again. You live in me because you live in God. You live in me because you live in God. I say you live in me because you live in God. And everyone lives in you. Everyone lives in you as you live in everyone. Can you then perceive unworthiness in a brother and not perceive it in yourself? And can you perceive unworthiness in yourself and not perceive unworthiness in God? Believe in the resurrection. Believe in it. Believe in the resurrection. Believe in the resurrection. Believe in the resurrection because it has been accomplished. Believe in the resurrection because it has been accomplished, and the resurrection has been accomplished in you. I say the resurrection has been accomplished in you. The resurrection has been accomplished in you. The resurrection has been accomplished in you. This is as true now as it will ever be. This is as true now that the resurrection has occurred in you, that the love has occurred in you, is as true now as it will ever be, for the resurrection is the will of God. The resurrection is the will of God. The resurrection is the will of God. It is the will of God that you resurrect, that you have complete triumph of love over fear in you, because it told us earlier that resurrection was simply the triumph of love over fear, Christ over the ego. So this is as true now as it will ever be, for the resurrection is the will of God. The resurrection is the will of God. The will of God which knows no time and no exceptions. The will of God which knows no time and no exceptions. But make no exceptions yourself. Make no exceptions yourself, or you will not perceive what has been accomplished for you. Make no exceptions yourself, or you will not perceive what has been accomplished for you. If you make any exceptions for yourself, you will not perceive what's been accomplished for you. For we ascend unto the Father together. For we ascend unto the Father together. For we ascend unto the Creator together, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. For such is the nature of God's Son as his Father created him. For such is your nature as your Creator created you. You're going to ascend. We're going to ascend to the Creator of love together. We're going to ascend unto the Father together, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. For such is the nature of God's creation as its Creator created it. Mm, 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 mm. So the Jesus of the Course starts paragraph 4 out by saying, I am your resurrection. I am your triumph over fear with love. That I am your resurrection. I am your life. Love is your resurrection. Love is your life. Then it says, you live in me because you live in God. So you live in love because you live in God, and God is love. You live in Jesus of the Course because you live in God, and God is love. You live in me. You live in me because I live in God, and I live in love, and I live in you. I live in you because you live in God, and you live in me because you live in God. I live in you because I live in God. And everybody lives in you. Everybody lives in you. It's crowded in there. Everybody lives in you. You live in everyone. You live in everyone. You live in everyone, and everyone lives in you. You live in everyone. You live in everyone, and everyone lives in you. So if you live in everyone and everyone lives in you, then how can you perceive unworthiness in another person and not perceive it in yourself? If you are that other person, if you're living in that other person, and that other person lives in you, and you are one with that person, and that person is one with you, then how can you see anything in them that you're not seeing in you? And then how can you perceive it in yourself and not perceive it in God, when God is also you? If you live in God and God lives in you, whatever you see in yourself is what you're seeing in God. The way you think about yourself is the way you think about God. The way you think about yourself is the way you think about God. The way you think about yourself is the way you think about love. The way you think about yourself is the way you think about God. The way you think about God is the way you think about yourself. If you really want to know how you feel about God, it's the way you feel about yourself. The way you feel about yourself. The way you feel about yourself is the way you feel about God. According to the Course, the way you feel about yourself is the way you feel about God. The way you feel about yourself is the way you feel about God. The way you feel about me is the way you feel about you, is the way you feel about God. Because you live in God, you live in me, and I live in God, and I live in you. So, because believe in the resurrection because it has been accomplished. What does that mean? Believe in the love. Believe in the love because the love has been accomplished and has been accomplished in you. Believe that the triumph over your ego has been accomplished in you. You are the accomplished. You may not know it, but you have already transcended your ego. You may not be aware of it, but you've already transcended your fear. You may not be aware of it, but you've already transcended crucifying yourself. You wouldn't even be listening to this if you still wanted to crucify yourself. You would not be reading and studying the Course if you truly wanted to crucify yourself. The resurrection has been accomplished, and it's been accomplished in you, and it's as true now as it will ever be. Everything we're hearing now is as true now as it will ever be. It's true right now that you are loved. It's true right now that you deserve to have an easy life with no strain at all, because you are the loving self. The will of God, it says, this is as true now as it will ever be, for the resurrection is the will of God. The resurrection is the will of God. That the triumph of love over fear is the will of love. And the will of God, which is the will of love, it says it knows no time and no exceptions. There is no exception. There are no exceptions to the love of God. There is nothing or no one excluded from the love of God. There is nothing or no one excluded from real love. No one is ever excluded from real love. No one is ever excluded from real love. What's not real love always it involves exclusiveness. What is not real love is an exclusive love. An exclusive love is not a real love. An exclusive love is not a real love. An exclusive love is not a real love. A real love has no exceptions. And so the truth of what I'm seeing the Course in Miracles says is that in the will of God, which is the will of love, does not know beginnings and endings, and no exceptions. So what's the instruction then that we are getting? It says, but make no exceptions yourself, or you will not perceive what has been accomplished for you. So a person will not see the love if they make exceptions. So you have got to stop excluding yourself. Stop excluding yourself. Stop excluding yourself from the love if you are doing it. Do not exclude yourself from the love, because if you exclude yourself from the love, you won't see it. If you leave yourself out of the love, then the Course says you will not see what's been accomplished by you. Include yourself in your love. In your love, make sure you love yourself. Include yourself in your love. Include yourself and make no exceptions. Make no exceptions. Include yourself in the love. Don't make any exceptions to the love. Include yourself. Is the resurrection in yourself? That's right. The resurrection is in yourself, Carla. The resurrection, the love is in yourself. The triumph of Christ over the ego is in yourself. The triumph of truth over illusion is in yourself. The next sentence says, for we ascend unto the Father together. We ascend unto the Creator together. We ascend unto the love together. Doing this together, that's the way it was in the beginning. Doing it together is the way it is now. And doing it together is the way it shall ever be. It says right here in paragraph 4, it says, for we ascend unto the Father together, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. For such is the nature of God's Son, as his Father created him. So we ascend unto the Creator of love together. The Course says that's the way it was in the beginning, that we ascended together. The Course says that's the way it is now. We are ascending together. And so even though you're new, Carla, there's nothing about these concepts that are complicated. These concepts are saying there's only love and there's only fear, and that we've got to let love rule out over fear, that everything you're seeing is your interpretation. So your feelings are coming from the meanings that you are giving things. And when you are being true to yourself, when you're really tuned in to your real self, then and acting from your real self, things will be easy and no strain at all. And also, this class is more what I call hardcore course, which means it's primarily geared toward people who are already studying A Course in Miracles, even though it's great that you're here. So, mighty companions, you live in everybody and everybody lives in you. We heard some very powerful concepts tonight. I'm so glad that you are here with me. If you would like to make a financial expression of appreciation, I really would appreciate that. I'm a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles. You can go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y, earlpurdy.com. I'm here to work with you on a one-on-one. If you want to get past some error, problem, or situation that you're tired of ruling you and you're ready to be truly happy, I do what I call clarity sessions. Go to my website and it will explain my services completely. And I also do mentoring and coaching. Go to earlpurdy.com. There are hundreds of videos of my classes, also on YouTube and on my Facebook page, the Earl Purdy page. That's where these live broadcasts. Follow that page so you'll be notified whenever I come online. My next Facebook live broadcast is 1 p.m. on Sundays, Mountain Time. I do A Course in Miracles class in front of a live audience at 1 p.m. Mountain Time every Sunday. And then on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., I do another class out of another book called The Way of Mastery, a very healing, powerful teaching also that is off the chain. That's 7 p.m. Mountain Time on Tuesdays. And then, of course, on Thursdays, we do Hardcore Course in Miracles. And the comments have been off the chain. The comments have been off the chain. My cool glasses are right here, but I just got this big old Kindle in front of me, and I got these fonts, these giant fonts, so I don't need them as much right now. So I'm going to do a quick review, and y'all did some great comments today. So what did we hear? Well, Awaken to redemption. Awaken to redemption. Well, did we not hear that it's impossible? It's impossible to believe what you see, and it's equally impossible to see what you don't believe. If you don't believe it, you're not going to see it. Perceptions are built up on experience. Your experience leads to your beliefs. And you're really blessed if you believe something before you see it. And I'm believing in love even though I may not always see it. What is the resurrection? Tonight we got a brand new definition of the resurrection. It says the resurrection is the complete triumph of Christ over the ego. The resurrection is your complete triumph over your ego. That's your resurrection. Then you have to make a decision. A question was asked of us tonight. Do you want to join in the love or the fear? Do you want to join in the resurrection or the crucifixion? Do you want to condemn people or do you want to set people free? Do you want to transcend this physical prison and move to our Creator? And perception is your interpretation. Perception is interpretation. That simply means you're giving everything all the meaning that it has for you, and you're reacting to the meaning that you give things. Christ is in your true self. According to the Course in Miracles has its own definitions for the terms. So if you try to bring the Course into what you've already learned, it's going to be tough. The Course in Miracles has its own meanings. The meaning of Christ is your true self, your loving self, that one self that's connected to each and every one of us. And then the Course in Miracles told us that this Course in Miracles is perfectly clear, and if you don't see it clearly, it's because you're interpreting against it, and right now you don't believe it. And since your belief determines perception, you won't see what the Course means if you don't believe it. If you don't accept it, you won't understand it, and you won't see what it means. It's just the way it is. Then the Course told us that different experiences lead to different beliefs, and that you're going to be led to having some experiences that are so awesome that you're going to become less and less willing to deny these experiences. And when you're looking from the Christ, when you're looking from your true self, when you're learning of your true self, it doesn't involve any strain at all. When you're learning from love, it doesn't involve any strain at all. That when a person is tired, the Course says it's because of the distortions that you're introducing that's tiring you out. And the Course says also, don't try to limit what you see. Stop limiting what you see. Stop limiting what you see by narrow little fearful beliefs that are not worthy of you. It's time for you to get rid of these anger, guilt, separation thoughts that are not worthy of you. These are narrow little beliefs. It's time for you to come onto your own, because when you come into the realization of how awesome you are, then you're going to realize how awesome your Creator is. Then it's told, the Course in Miracles says that love is your resurrection. The Jesus of the Course is your resurrection. That's the same thing. It's all love. Jesus is not a body. You are not a body. We are consciousness. We are love. We are spirit. So when it talks about I am your resurrection in your life, it's because you live in me and you live in God. You live in me and you live in love. You may not know it, but you live in me and I live in you, and we both live in God. And do you know that everyone lives in you, and you live in everyone? But you may not know that yet, but everyone lives in you, and you live in everyone. So you can't see unworthiness in another person without seeing it in yourself if you live in them and they live in you. And how can you see unworthiness in yourself and not see unworthiness in God? Because you live in God and God lives in you. Do you know that you need to believe in the resurrection? That means you need to believe that there's a part of you that has triumphed over your fear. There's a part of you that has transcended your insecurity. Believe in that resurrection, because it's been accomplished, and it's been accomplished in you. Your resurrection means your triumph over what's false and what's fear. That's the will of God. And do you know that the will of love doesn't know anything about time, that there are no exceptions to love. Nobody's left out of real love. Human love leaves people out. Human love leaves people out. Divine love doesn't leave anybody out. But don't make any exceptions for yourself. Don't leave yourself out. Don't make any exceptions for yourself. Because when you make exceptions and you leave yourself out of the love, the Course says, then you won't perceive what's been accomplished for you. You won't see the healing and the love that's been accomplished for you. If you make exceptions for yourself, if you make exceptions for yourself. For we're going to ascend to the Creator together. Those who truly want to love and know themselves as love, we're going to ascend to the love together. We have been together from the beginning. We're together now, and we'll ever ascend to love together. You've gone as far as you can go alone. You've gone as far as you can go alone. We're going to ascend to love together, you all. We're ascending to truth together. That's the way it was in the beginning. That's the way it is now. And that's the way it shall ever be. Holy Spirits, I appreciate you. Remember, you need not believe the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe, and some of the ideas you may find quite startling. You are not asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all, because it's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. I appreciate you. I love you. And may the Course be with you. Share this video on your Facebook page. Mwah! And listen to this over and over. Thanks for showing up.